Wuthering Waves has been out for over a week now, and now that I've put around 30 hours into the game, I'm going to give my overall thoughts on the game to answer the question of, is Wuthering Waves actually worth your time to play? And I think this is really important, not only because of how much time you can put into Wuthering Waves, depending on how much you want to invest in it, but also because there's so many different gacha games that either are out or are going to be coming out soon. So I do also think it's important for people to really be playing the games that they are going to enjoy the most and using their time on, what's going to be the most fun for them. So for this video, I'm going to split the my overall thoughts into 3 main sections and then give my overall rating for Wuthering Waves at the end. And those 3 sections are going to be the story of the game, the overall gameplay, and then I'm going to talk about developer support. And I think that last point is especially important because, especially for a live service game like Wuthering Waves, I think it is very important to note how the developers are treating the actual game and the actual player base based on things that have been happening. So starting out here with the story. So I think overall, the story, I know I've heard some people have some thought, not as great thoughts about the story, but I personally think that the progression is fine. Where in the beginning acts of the story, you are getting just a sense of the world and learning a bunch of terms. Like, I know people say it's kind of like lore dumpy, but at the same time, I feel like these are things you kind of have to learn to understand, what's going on in the world that you just kind of got thrown into. Then you have the middle acts where you're introduced to Scar, who is one of, if not the best character in the story from what we've seen of him. And there you start to see like a little bit of a build up. Then you have Act 5 being like a calm before the storm, and then Act 6 is just really good, very engaged throughout the entire thing, in all honesty, and was just a very nice, climax for the story that I really did appreciate as a player. And so overall, I think while the earlier acts were definitely nowhere near as strong as Act 6, I think that if they can have the quality of Act 6, at the start of the game, at the very launch of Wuthering Waves, that's a great sign of what's to come when it comes to the overall story. Now, I have not done the jiyan quest at the time of recording this video, the one you unlock after Act 6, which I'm sure that'll give me some more, knowledge and just lore about jiyan and, maybe some other characters in there. But overall, I do think that the story is good where it is, and I do think that we do have a lot of room for it to become even better than it already is. Then nextly, we have the gameplay, and the gameplay is probably the biggest category for me to talk about because there's so many things I want to touch on. And the first thing is, which I know is probably the main thing for a lot of people, especially for people like me who played Genshin Impact on launch and have since either stopped playing the game entirely or play it significantly less, and that is the combat. I love Wuthering Waves' combat so much to where there's been certain days where like I'm out of wave plates and I'm literally just going around the map fighting stuff, whether it's in single player or it's in co-op with some friends, because the combat is just very addicting. It's very fun, and it's a system that I think you can do well in as a casual, but if you are a more hardcore player and you want to learn the ins and outs and the intricacies of the game, there's also a lot of depth to it for you as well. So I think that this game does extremely well with that. And I do think overall, when it comes to gameplay, if you are someone, like I said, who played Genshin Impact and has drifted away from the game or stopped playing it entirely because of the direction it's going in, Wuthering Waves is going to be that combat fix for you, absolutely. And the systems are also pretty similar to like Genshin and Honkai Star Rail. It is pretty evident that Kuro Games, saw the success of the Hoyoverse games and, took some things that a lot of players there were used to or just were, good practices from those games and implemented it here. I think, as you can see, like the battle pass is very similar. The currencies that you need for pulling is very similar. And I do think that that's pretty good for a lot of the audience, just to have that sense of familiarity between their games. Now, when it comes to just a couple cons, or one main con that I'll talk about here that I've noticed so far, which it could change with higher union levels because I am union level 30 as of the time of this recording. Getting characters leveled up in some certain resources kind of feel pretty expensive, and I feel like part of that might just be, you know, with the specific point in the game that I'm at. Like once I get better echoes, it could, you know, not have to be, you know, as expensive just because I already have echoes for characters. But considering the fact that we will need 3 teams, I do feel like stuff is getting kind of expensive for me, especially at Union 30, because I do want to have, you know, DPS is at level 60, and then I'm probably going to just keep my support at level 50 for at least the time being. But yeah, I'm hoping that either they make the resources a bit less expensive for getting characters up, or the that this, you know, feeling of expensiveness goes away with higher Union levels, and once you have more things set in stone on your account. Then for the echoes, I really do like the echoes. Not only are you able to, you know, get some very solid stats. I love the way that the stat rolling on them works overall, but you can even still farm echoes without using wave plates, which is your energy. And I think that is a really massive thing for playtime, just because for other gacha games, like Genshin, Star Rail, and any like gacha game really that has a energy system, once you're out of energy for the day, that's all you can really do. But with Wuthering Waves, even if you run out of energy that you can't get rewards to level up the echoes now, you can still go around your world fighting against specific echoes that you're looking for. You can fight against the bosses, and even without claiming the rewards for defeating the bosses, you can still get the echoes for them. So you can still play the game even without your wave plates, and you can still get benefits there as well. You might not be able to level them up depending on your experience, which I'm going to get into that in a second, but you are still able to get echoes, so you can basically continually try to roll for the, you know, proper main stat that you would want for a for whatever echo you're farming. Now, I will say for echoes, and my only other like big con right now, which hopefully will be fixed in the, you know, coming version or so, is that I do think that echo exp is an issue, because the, you know, just from my experience here, I haven't leveled up too many echoes, and I'll actually show you in game as well. I don't have too many echoes level up. I did level up some like early on just to, you know, have something for my account, and also ones that I thought were, you know, solid, but then I got better ones. But yeah, I haven't leveled up really like that many echoes. But when I go to my echo experience right here, if I go to upgrade, I really don't have that much left, even from this. Which, like, sure, I can use this one and get like a little bit there, but like the fact that I have like basically nothing, and I feel like you don't get that many drops when you are doing like the tacit fields for it. It is a bit concerning that we're not able to get as much echo experience that easily. Now, I don't think it should be like an insane amount of the experience you're getting at a time, but I do think that they do need to give us a bit more, so that, you know, with the just sheer amount of echoes you can farm through co-op, through just fighting bosses, we should have a little bit more to be able to level up these echoes that we're getting, because you can get a lot of echoes through both the just like daily farming, as well as if you're just going around on co-op or single player and just fighting all the enemies on the map. But despite that, I do overall really enjoy the gameplay, and of course I'm still learning things as I go. That's why I haven't done really any guide videos yet, but you know, as I'm learning things, I will try to make some also guide related content. And I am overall just very interested in the gameplay, and Wuthering Waves is probably just going to be a mainstay on the channel in addition to Honkai Star Rail. So yeah, that's overall how I feel about the gameplay. So now for the final section, before I give my overall, you know, concluding thoughts, it is the developer support. And if you are a, you know, current or ex-Genshin player, you know that developer support for Genshin has been kind of wishy-washy, just because certain things just were asked, you know, players were asking for so long, and either it took forever for them to implement, like the increased resin, or just straight up never happened. But when it comes to Wuthering Waves, I'm also not going to sugarcoat the fact that we had a very shaky release for most people. There were a bunch of optimization issues, bugs happening. Really, the two main, you know, bugs I experienced were the audio bug that happened to everyone a few days ago, and there was also one time I was playing where my CPU overheated out of nowhere with Wuthering Waves. But my CPU ended up being fine, thankfully. I think it was just more so like an optimization issue, but it hasn't happened since, which is very nice. But despite all of the crazy things happening to people with like games like lagging a ton and any other like bugs people were experiencing, Kuro has put out an insane amount of hotfixes and has given some very strong compensation as well. And this is probably like the quickest response I think I've seen from a gacha game company that I can remember from the games I've played, at least, which is mainly just, you know, Hoyo games, you know, Wuthering Waves, and then some other ones here and there, miscellaneous ones. But the fact that they've not only put out like as many hotfixes as they have over the past week, but also have given us great compensation. Like, we've gotten some pulls for free, and they gave us a free 5-star selector ticket, which is an absolutely insane thing to give. But I think that kind of just is their, you know, their way of showing that they are serious about both listening and helping the player base. And I think that that is an insanely good thing to keep in mind. And if that's the type of energy that Kuro Games is going to have for Wuthering Waves going forward, then I think we are absolutely in good hands. Things might not be perfect right away, but they are absolutely willing to fix things and absolutely willing to, you know, compensate us accordingly for them, which I think is going to be a very strong thing moving forward. So yeah, those are the 3 main categories there. So now to move on to my overall opinion of Wuthering Waves and whether or not you should actually invest your time into the game. So I think that if you want a game with a you know, amazing combat, amazing open world, and also a game if you're looking for a more skill-based game where your skill can actually matter in difficult content, then I do think Wuthering Waves is an amazing game, and I think you should absolutely try it. Even if open world isn't really your thing, I think if you're a more like combat focused kind of player, you are going to find some enjoyment from Wuthering Waves. But at the same time, if you are not, if you don't like the style of Wuthering Waves as much, but you are still looking for a new game to play, I do think it's still worth a try, because even if you aren't like a super big combat person trying to do all the end game stuff in Wuthering Waves, there is still going to be stuff for you, because I honestly, you don't have to do like the super hardcore endgame stuff like hologram fights and stuff like that. But if you do want to mess around in the game and try it out, I definitely do think it's still something worth trying. And who knows, you may actually like it more than you actually thought you did. But if it ends up not being for you, that is all good as well. Because as I said in the beginning of the video, there's so many gacha games that are either out right now or are coming up. Like, if you don't like this real-time action, but you want more of a turn-based, experience, Honkai Star Rail's right there. It's an amazing game. But if you are looking for that real-time combat, Wuthering Waves is that game right now. It's gonna be that fix that you need. And I think that every Genshin player who's been looking for endgame, Wuthering Waves is the fix you've been looking for the past 3.5 years. So those are overall my thoughts on Wuthering Waves. Let me know down in the comments below if you've been playing and what you all have been thinking about Wuthering Waves so far, because I've honestly been enjoying it. But with that, everyone, I'm going to end off the video here. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed and haven't already, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button. The support is greatly appreciated as always, and I will see you all next time.